into this, Jackie.
They do indeed, and I think this one should be a bit of a bloodbath, Jason, to be honest with you. Unbreakables, the way we've seen them, their ups and downs, their meteoric rise, and a little bit of a crash back down to earth. They're going to be able to show us some of the superstardom, or unfortunately, what they had going on during the spring series.
And the funny thing is, like, if you look at these teams, I was looking at some of the statistics, and Jay and I think it's Lord Beerus on the side of Unbreakable have the most deaths across the entire season. 316 for Jay and 315 for Lord Beerus. But then again, they've also played the most games out of any other team, or most games, I think around 41. Either way, we do have Unbreakable off with a lead. Not a big lead, but a lead nonetheless.
Yeah, they started off, been able to get themselves to around 150 already. There is a close return from Simplicity. They're starting to actually find those multipliers, get those eliminations linked together, and be able to bring themselves back up to equalize this one. Hopefully, as Unbreakable are actually starting to skyrocket further ahead, already nearing that 300 mark. Things are going well for the side.
The thing is, if we were to like kind of gauge who do we expect to be the best team here, the favorable team, honestly, I couldn't tell you. Yes, Simplicity do have like a roster 4, even though format was picked up for this, but Stavi's actually been on a honeymoon. He recently got married, and he hasn't played in the last couple of weeks, so he's got a lot of pressure on him to really show up. And then on Unbreakable side, he got Nokia. Like, the big question, is he the one leading the team? Is he the one sitting back, just kind of filling the spot that they do need, left by Deathface? So far, it's been working out well for them. They have double the points of Simplicity.
Yeah, they're just dominating right now, locking it down and looking very effective. Simplicity, one of the areas they tend to excel in is the overall strategy that Kitty has brought to the team. He was able to completely rerun everything, have all these set plays come into effect, but right now they're going to need the true slaughtering potential to give them the edge, and that's what Unbreakable seem to have. Nokia's performing well. They've already got up to 700 points. They've got complete control of CMB for the majority of this round so far, Jason, and if Simplicity are going to come back into it, it needs to be soon, because they don't really have too much of a lifeline left.
Yeah, they're going to start to really get control of these points. The points do really take up quite a bit over time, especially if you can maintain them and constantly flip them back around. Kitty Monster comes in, then elimination onto Nokia, and they are looking like they're going to be able to take control of B and actually maintain control of it here. So Simplicity get control of B. They're losing C, but in the meantime, Jackie, they're capturing A at the exact same moment, so they should be able to maintain a 2-point hold. However, just as quick as we say that, B's being turned over at the same time.
Yeah, it's the choke points on this map as well that can make it so hard to actually regain control. If you've just got B and C locked down, you've pretty much got free reign to restrict any kind of movement from that ace point across the map. Simplicity, they're getting it somewhat closer. They are being able to fan out. The map control isn't too heavily stacked in the favor of their opponents anymore, and it's coming slightly back into it. But they don't really have long left. Already 1,000 points going to be hit there for Unbreakable. 200 left to go before they take this opening map. Bear in mind, it is the best of 5 as well, Jason, so it'd definitely be a way to kick it off.
I mean, you did mention, like, they're coming back, but the real question now comes down to, is it too late? And I would say it almost is going to be that route. They have to play so perfectly now because of how close Unbreakable is to finishing off this map and getting that 1-0 early lead. Less than 100 points to go for them. Simplicity at 860 points trying to claw back, but you see those eliminations in that feed constantly going out of the way of Simplicity, but I don't think it's going to matter. If Unbreakable can continue to capture these points and maintain control, they should have this first map under their belts.
50 points away. Unbreakable, all it would take is a few eliminations to be able to close this one down instantly, getting the overall tick as well. The points as it slowly racks up, they should naturally get the win here. Oh, it is close though. Unfortunately, just as Simplicity hit the 1K mark, that is when Unbreakables close it down. And they have been able to secure victory there on the first map.
I'm actually wondering, is that baby powder?
I was very confused. It's like,
yeah, because obviously your hands sweat, makes it really hard to actually play on the phone. Yeah. So I'm curious if they're actually using some baby powder. That's actually a really smart thing to do.
You know, some people use them at the gym to give themselves better grip. Nokia.
Yeah, some people use it for other things.
Yeah.
Like in their shoes, you know, if their feet sweat.
Yeah, yeah. Or,
but you know what? We can't argue with, I guess, yeah. But you can't argue with it because look at that. They were able to pick up that first map. And, you know, the question, if Unbreakable's going to be able to play well as a team, I think has been answered so far against Simplicity. And the thing is, like, Unbreakable, they've had such a crazy start to the whole thing. They made the team back in January, then they came into the winter season and just absolutely smashed Noble, Lazarus, like the best teams in Europe, and beat them in like 3-0s, beat them in 2-0s.
Yeah.
And then they lost the last Cup. They got knocked out, I think, around the quarterfinals, if I'm not mistaken, right before we did kick off the show, and it dropped them into second place. But luckily, because of how they did during the season, they had a ton of points on their side already, and they were already pre-qualified. But because they dropped out so early in that tournament, they fell down to second place in the region, and they had to play an extra game to get through into the semifinals. There's been a lot of questions about the team in general, and I think they can come out with their heads held high. I think they should win the series now after getting that first map, after getting all that pressure off of their shoulders and getting pumped up and hyped up. I think Simplicity have to be careful now.
Oh, yeah. Well, we know they're definitely a team that can feed off that confidence as well, because no matter where we're not really sure of the nuances of how much control Nokia has within the roster. In terms of him as an overall player, he's always been very passionate. He does really get hyped up. He was one of the players that would, charge in if at any point they started to get a victory. We saw it at the Gods of Boom event.
Right.
Him being our sole representative of the Gods of Boom as well, the current only God of Boom at this event. And he was dominant there. He looked very effective, probably one of the overall MVPs for the event. In this team, he's already starting to look like he's getting a bit loud, he's getting a bit Riley, and that could give them the extra benefit they need.
I think it's interesting, too, because we talked to him. I think actually next week when we do get back into Poland doing the Guns of Boom show there for the spring season, I think we're going to be doing like a little podcast, actually. We might have him on the show, and when we're talking to him about getting him on the show, he was talking about how like his team isn't really as focused as they could be on the spring season, since they know they're qualified through to the Gods of Boom event coming up in Cologne. And that to me was kind of like weird, because A, I understand, yes, you're qualified through, but B, you could have qualified for Texas. That's a lot of money on the line. You could qualify for Brazil, which is, again, a lot of money on the line. You get to travel the world, which a lot of people can't say they're able to do. And then more importantly, you're able to maintain that like dominance around the scene, and everyone's looking up to you. Everyone's really like scared to play against you in these matches. So I'm kind of questioning, kind of taking their foot off the gas, but at the same rate, they knew he was going to be going to this event. So I think they've been, kind of understanding that, we're going to lose him for this event at least. He'll be able to come back and play with us as a team. Hopefully they change things up, because right now they're not in the top 2 to make it through into Brazil.
Yeah, that's one of the crazy things, really, in terms of the teams that actually did make it here. Because obviously, coming back to the winter season, the fact that Lazarus and Noble, the two sole teams that were there in Katowice and looked like the most dominant forces in the game, just didn't make it. They weren't able to get through, partly because of Unbreakable, the team you have on your screen right now, that actually smashed them out of the way. And finally, it seemed like, all right, the top dogs have been up there for a while now. Finally, there's a new up-and-comer starting to work their way in. But actually doing it in a LAN environment and showing they're a bunch of animals and they're quite rowdy, that would definitely be a way to prove yourself.
I think so, 100%. And then obviously, Unbreakable has not been playing with Nokia during the weekly cups, so I think he's just been there for practice, and they've been doing still decently well in those. But let's kick off our next map. It's going to be Military Warehouse. We're switching up the game mode. It's going to be Team Deathmatch now, so we're going to see quite a bit of a different style than what we just had in that last map. Teams going to be a lot more careful to force these engagements.
Yeah, one of the ways we see most teams playing this as well is to try and set up one player to maximize their overall tally as well. If you can get those eliminations in a row, you'll get more and more increments of points to put you into a better position, and that's something you can try and do. Keep a player alive that's already got himself 2 eliminations on the trot, net him a third by setting him up for frags, and it will really propel you further, or you can just blow them straight out of the server.
Yeah, and obviously, as you see Unbreakable right now with the initial lead, Simplicity are going to be the ones to force to be aggressive. They're the ones that are going to have to push into Unbreakable to look for these eliminations. And we've seen teams do like quite a few different things, as you were pointing out before. Like, you could play passive. Technically, you don't have to get aggressive when you have the lead. And this is one of those few game modes you'll actually see the time be a major factor in how the game turns out.
Yeah, and you can see the sudden injection of points they actually got there from Jiren going huge, picking himself up free, one after another. Well, the nade's actually getting connected as well, as that is going to be rolling straight in.
As you mentioned, Jiren, actually, he, in the season, is currently first place overall points, 6,537. Not a lot of people are actually close to him, so he's been a real standout player for Unbreakable so far, and I think that's something you're going to need to see. He's currently, I think, top on the scoreboard at the moment for his team, and you're going to need to have him have a good game here if you want to be able to take this in a quick 3-0.
Yeah, well, that's the difference in this game compared to most as well, is the fact that what we were saying about, setting people up for those eliminations, that's one of the ways it plays into it, because if you get those really high multipliers, you can be such a key player to project your team way further than you would be normally. You're going in for those Blade Masters, you're being able to just rip people to absolute shreds. However, there is the downside, though, Jason. If they get traded back out, that's a sudden injection back to the other team for ending that dominant streak.
100%. We are seeing Kitty Monster with a nice little quick little 2-piece picked up for him. He's trying to hold that left-hand side, trying to hold some angles, trying to hold some pushes, most importantly. Unbreakable do, again, have the lead at the moment, about 70 points. Question is, can they maintain it? You can see Stavy here, or Stavy, sorry, trying to look for a couple of shots towards the right-hand side. But I think Unbreakable are more than happy to play passive. They're not actually letting Simplicity get any of these shots. If they're actually going to force a fight, they're going to look for the 2-on-1, which you see towards the top-hand side of the screen now. They're always looking to get that man advantage trade. If anything, trade 1-for-1, and you'll still be able to maintain that lead.
Yeah, this is much nicer. Obviously, one of the things we saw initially with teams would be the over-pushing, where you get far too aggressive, you're left completely exposed when you're right outside the opposing team's spawn. TDM as a game mode has actually slowed down more and more the longer Guns of Boom's actually been sort of played competitively, because people aren't really rushing out to try and just shut down instantly. Oh, Kitty Monster's just removing legs and hips.
Living up to his name. He's a monster right now. I think eventually he will go down. Dragon's able to capitalize off that, getting the elimination. But the lead that Unbreakable had of 70 points has dwindled down to about 20. But speaking of dwindling down, we've got 2 minutes left to go. I think realistically we will see the 500-point limit hit, but it's still going to be very close because Simplicity, every elimination they get gets them one step closer to taking that lead back.
It's a crazy slow demonstration here of TDM as well. They definitely are making full use of the amount of time they have to not get forced into an awkward scenario. Unbreakable are the ones in the lead, not by too much, but they're actually adding to that. Cutting down Kitty Monster will be a good little reversal there on the overall points. He's going to need to do some damage if he can actually get into a position to do so, but the way they're set up, it is going to be quite awkward.
It's like Beerus swinging around. He actually was able to do just that. But I think it's one elimination. Great communication. I think that's something we haven't talked about too much. Communication is super important when it comes to this, because if you get flanked and someone gets, you know, quick 4 eliminations against you, gets that ace through, then you're in a really bad position, especially on points. But now here we go, Jackie. A minute left to go. 50 points for Unbreakable to finish off this map and go up 2-0. And Simplicity have so much work to do.
Yeah, Nokia 152 points as well. He's been able to just rack these up. He's definitely looking like the headhunter that he does love to show. Another perfect aim coming through. 468 to 438. 30 points between the two teams with 50 seconds on the clock. They're not going to want to over-aggress. They're going to need to pick their battles correctly here. You don't want to run that risk. That is a huge connection. He gets the tag, Jason, but not the frag.
The thing is, Stavey's been actually hitting quite a few of these shots to allow them to close this distance, close this lead. 12 points left to go for Unbreakable, so one elimination pretty much will finish this off. They may actually just push straight through, and you can see on the screen, Lord Beerus is excited. They take their second map and are now one map away from moving on further in the tournament and quadrupling the amount of money they'll make here at a minimum.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, they could have already been in that position, right? It would have just taken a little bit more, a little bit extra. Instead, they came into it having to work their way up from the quarterfinals rather than starting in the semis. But they've definitely started strong. Nokia, showman as ever. He does like to do his little love heart. He busts that out a lot.
Do you think he brought a change of clothes, a change of shirts to this event?
That was my favorite WWE storyline. When Nokia ran to the end of the stage and ripped off his shirt to reveal "I love God" bracket B, I was blown away. You know.
That's why I want to see more trash talking between the teams. You want to see those matches get built up, and obviously it's all in good sport. But right now, Simplicity, they seem super confident. I talked to them before the match, and they were like saying like, "Yeah, are you ready to see us go into like the next match?" I'm like, "Well, you got to beat a team here to get to there, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, they'll be pretty easy." But they're on the back foot, Jackie. They're one map away from being knocked out. We're gonna be going over to Subway in a few seconds, which is I've actually never casted that map. It's never come up in the spring or the last couple of winter season that I've done.
It's a very interesting one. It's a map that is like none other inside of Guns of Boom, purely because the fact, if you imagine, it's just kind of like a giant tunnel, right? You know,
it's like a subway.
Yeah, it really is a subway.
I thought you were talking about the restaurant maybe, but now I'm glad you clarified it for me.
No, but I mean, the map is quite long, so probably about a foot or longer. But it's just the way it's designed.
$5 foot, maybe?
Foot? What?
Foot long.
Sorry?
What's up?
Excuse me? What's up?
Yeah, but I mean, it's gonna be interesting, and I think this is definitely one of those like oddball maps that you can throw out into an event where you're not really like super prepared for. It's one of those maps you think is gonna be an auto veto, and teams like will go into vetoes assuming like, okay, you're gonna veto this, I don't need to do it. But then when one team leaves it open, it's like, oh, they're mixing up on us. Now what do we do? What do we do going into this map? Are we prepared for it? And I sure as I hope they are.
It's like a super cheese pick, right? Because it's one of those where obviously, yeah, if you spend time playing it, you feel confident going into it, you can really lock it down quite easily. Yeah. It's whoever gets sort of the first foot forward. You can feed the hot hand quite easily on the map purely because of the way it's designed. And that's just how it seems to go. We were talking about Nokia, though, in terms of how vocal he was going to be on the team. Seems to be the one doing a lot of talking right now.
I think like one advantage they have with him on the roster is that he's been in these LAN environments before. He was in Katowice, and that experience you get and that like ability to calm your team down when they're feeling the nerves on a stage with a live audience watching and obviously the people at home, that's something you can never underestimate how important and how well it affects your team. And we're seeing Unbreakable, like you saw Lord Beerus when they won that map, he went crazy. He like screamed, he was blowing up, and you see Simplicity's side and not a lot of words being traded. I think they know like what they need to do, but the problem is that execution just has not been working out for them so far.
It's rough as well, because from the confidence they actually had yesterday and the position they were in where they looked like they were going to be able to, really start just coming in there and beating down and being able to lock it down. It's kind of slipped away.
Yeah, I mean, if we're to go to fisticuffs, if you've seen Stavia there, yeah, he can definitely settle that one.
He's the big guns. He's the one we need in these cowboy shirts.
I think this was his shirt, and the sleeves got ripped off because of how massive his
bicep
his
just popped it straight off.
Here's the MVP from the last map, as you can see. Jiren, again, 144 points for him, 8 eliminations, 5 deaths. On the other side, the top player, 64 points. So, I mean, there is an upside to this. Does that mean everyone on Simplicity was playing about the same kind of level? Because they still worked within 100 points. The problem is that you didn't have that one standout player to really carry you through the points you needed. Yeah,
it's also the way they were doing it as well. The main point of being, you can see the difference there with the 5 eliminations being only 64, 144 for the 8 eliminations that were picked up by Jiren. He was getting the assists off. He was also being able to just maximize those points in the way he was finding the eliminations.
Well, we'll be hopping into Subway in a few seconds. I think they're just sorting a couple of quick things. And Unbreakable, I mean, coming all the way out here. A lot of questions on people's minds on how they'd fare. They are 1 map away from getting through. But the thing is, the road does not get easier after this. Obviously, the team they're playing next, Impact, #1 team in North America, one of the top teams in the world at the moment. It's going to be a tough game, but Jackie, looks like we're going straight into it.
Straight to the Subway. Who has the first class ticket to walk away with this one? Is there potential for a reverse sweep, or is it just going to be the clean 3-0 picked up for the Unbreakables, proving they can live up to their name as we're delving back into it? As you can see, the map, close corridors, lots of choke points. You're completely exposed from everywhere, and it restricts the use of those sniper rifles apart from the train carts, where it's just a complete tunnel straight down. But it's already kicking off, and the snipers are coming into play. Kitty Monster has been clawed out of the server. Stavy tries to fight it back, and the shotguns come out to play.
Yeah, shotgun's going to be super important here, especially knowing about what weapon to choose in what situation. That's something that I've talked about in like many different shows that we've done now for Guns of Boom. It's super important to have the right weaponry out at the right time. If you get rushed down, you have a sniper rifle. If you miss that shot, speaking of here, actually hits that shot, goes back in, but not able to finish him off, then you can get caught with your pants down. But the point can be firmly controlled here for Unbreakable. 175 points and counting, and they have the lead another time here, Jack.
Nokia will start to come in to do some work as well. Looks for a bit more with a bob and weave, assisted by his teammate. Eventually gets traded back by Format as they're towards the point. Unbreakables already asserting a bit of a dominant lead as they're about to hit that 300 mark, and they're just racking up the eliminations as well. One by one, everyone is crumbling down.
They're doing a great job holding on. The damage they're doing, the explosives as well. Jiren comes in, gets the damage done. Nokia gets himself a nice quick double. Jay as well takes down Kitty, and Unbreakable are unstoppable at this moment. 350 points. Only needs that 1,000 to close out the map, close out the match in the series, and move on through into the semifinals. But obviously, Simplicity are not going to let this one go for free. Kitty coming around the side should be able to eliminate Nokia there, which he eventually does finish him off. Now Jiren playing from the trail, or from the railway. It's eventually going to be finished off by Stavy. So Simplicity going to be able to stabilize and get some sort of control here on the point for now.
But it's a lead that's been built up already by Unbreakables. They're just banking on taking this one and 3-0ing the series here. And it seems like that could actually be a possibility. However, Simplicity, suddenly, as we talk about it, it comes into effect and they start racking up points rapidly. A spam down from above. Jiren is going to need to do his best ticket inspector impression and punch a hole straight through one of them. They don't really want to face him, just gets the tag off. Nokia set up for the double as he'll mow them all down. It's the Mozambique technique coming through.
Just imagining him on the subway, on the train, asking for the tickets, and they don't have a ticket. You know what he does? Just kicks him straight off the train, back into the respawn timer. And Unbreakable will get control back. We can see Format trying to push in. The long-range shots, Jiren not able to hit that one in time as Stavy's going to eliminate him. And I think Stavy's actually been doing, honestly, considering he hasn't played in a few weeks, the shots he's been hitting with the sniper rifle so far has been phenomenal. He's been a really strong backbone for the team.
Yeah, he's looking crisp. He's being able to play in the back lines and just pick people down. If not that, at least tank away their health so they don't have too much sustain. He's still going as well. Same position in play. They haven't been able to force him out. Jiren needs to hit him and actually overthrow him. He's got the high ground here, and that is the position to try and counter it, but he's just not being given a chance. As he spots them out, it's too late. In the meantime, they've equalized the scoreline roughly here. It's only a few points behind, and they're adding to that tally. Unbreakable still in the lead, though, and they're getting close to the mark to take it.
Yeah, Simplicity might have to have Stavy actually play a little bit more towards the point, play a little bit closer to these angles, actually. The thing is, they don't actually necessarily need to peek a lot of these positions to allow Jiren to hit these long-range shots. If you just play like behind cover, force them to come to you and have a man advantage when it comes down to the shotguns, that's definitely an opportunity or some sort of way you can work, which you can see now on point trying to hide back. Has a nice little charge shot in. That's another 2,600 damage now done. And Lurbius will eventually finish off Kitty with the burn.
Ooh. Well, Simplicity, they've hit that 1,000-point mark, and they have been able to take it at the end there as it goes down. So luckily, they're not out of the woods just yet. They keep themselves going. They're going to try and carry on and keep the fight moving through. That's actually nice they've been able to pick it back up. Kitty Monster, nearly the close MVP there. Actually really going to be Elmo with 2 more points ahead. But the whole team looked like they were doing work. That's kind of been the difference. The fact that everyone on Simplicity seems like they perform into a fairly similar level.
Right. Yeah, and that's, if you win, obviously it works out well. If everyone's playing well, it's a very good little feat to have. Only thing I'm looking at, though, is that was the only King of the Hill map that we had in this best of 5. We're going to go back to TDM on Skyscraper. Actually, sorry, there will be a second King of the Hill. I'm not reading my notes correctly. We do have Paradise Island as the last map, so we will potentially be going to 2 of those if they can get there. So that's a good sign. So if they can win this next map, if they can win on TDM, they potentially could come back with a reverse sweep and take that series.
Jiren, once again, being the MVP for another one, as he is very effective, has definitely had a lot of damage coming through. 11 eliminations wrapped up into that one as well, but 12 assists for Format. He is the support player.
Well, we heard Optimus talking about it, right? Getting that damage done, staying alive, being an assist player is actually super important when it comes to playing here at Guns of Boom. And he's been doing a great job of being able to assist, and more importantly, I was going to say more importantly, not die that often, but he doesn't have night death, so he actually has been doing that. But the damage he's been doing, and more importantly, the point of actually contesting that and turning it back around is what allowed him to take 122 and obviously that MVP.
For the side of Simplicity, who have finally picked up a map. It's a best of 5, so they're 1 away from equalizing it, but they're also 1 away from being straight knocked out here by the Unbreakables. They don't seem to have much sort of passion right now, looking like they're a bit zapped by everything that's gone on. Obviously losing those first 2 maps, trying to get themselves back into it. Kitty just looking very stern.
I think they know like the pressure that's on them right now. I think they know the situation that they're in. And they're just kind of trying to take it step by step here. I mean, the thing is, if you're ever behind 2-0 in a series, you can't be like, all right, we need to do this to win. You need to focus on what do we need to do to win this next map, not the series. You're focused on map per map. And right now they realize we need to win this next one. It's a do or die time. If we lose this, we're out. And I guess maybe they can get to go party a little bit earlier on than the rest of us out here. But they don't want to lose this match. The thing is, they came in. They got thrown like a lifeline. They weren't even supposed to be here. They didn't qualify. They were like the #3 team for North America. But luckily, because the team from Southeast Asia could not come, they were asked to participate, right? And they want to show everyone out there like, hey, we should have been here. We should have qualified. We're going to win this whole thing. And they definitely have a good chance to do so if they can keep this momentum up.
It's a shame for Kitty Monster as well, this essentially being the last tournament he believes he might be able to compete in because of other things he has going on. It's just the fact that, this is sort of his big one to try and have a last hurrah on the way out and prove how effective he can be. He's been a highlight player and probably a fan favorite for quite some time. And he's going to need to try and carry that over. Looks like we are going to be resetting this one before we delve back in to our 4th map here. But yeah, Kitty Monster. This is his time to write his final words in the history books, Jason, potentially.
Well, hey, maybe if they win, maybe it's like, okay, maybe I got a little bit more in me. Got a couple of games left to go here, and we'll hop into, Brazil potentially if they can qualify for that one. Currently, I think they are in, if I'm not mistaken, 4th place in the spring series. Impact at 1st, Enix at 2nd. They have a long distance to go to qualify into that one, and it's going to be definitely tough to do so. I just didn't realize we were going to be on camera there another time. I just want to obviously get these sweet little guns in. But
you got a license for those?
Yeah, and I can carry them in Texas. I'm allowed to.
Wow.
They're not concealed. Anyway, so yeah, like the thing is, like Simplicity, if they want to prove they deserve to be in Brazil, like they need to do well in this tournament. They are so far behind top 2 at the moment in North America that I honestly don't know if they can even qualify at this rate with the amount of cups that are left to go. But if anything, with them not going to Brazil, this is their chance to pick up some extra money, right? A little extra change in your pocket.
Yeah.
Buy some sweet little cowboy hats.
Buy
and
$80 worth of sweets.
Hey, you know what? I'm allowed to. I live in Europe, okay? I'm allowed to buy a lot of sweets to take back.
You're a grind man,
nice,
Jason.
I'll bring some to Poland.
Ooh,
for you.
We can have a nibble after the weekly shows for Guns of Boom.
Yeah.
That's what you want. That is what you want. Obviously waiting to get underway with this one, as it should be a sweet affair, hopefully.
Sorry, I'm appalled that we actually decided to wear
we decided to go for this outfit.
Great for us, though. You actually have this in your closet at the hotel.
Yeah, these were mine.
Yeah,
I brought these with me.
These were yours.
It was quite convenient. Luckily, we're the same sizes.
which is weird. But anyways, we're actually going to be hopping back in. It looks like everything has been sorted out. We're going to hop straight into this match in just a few seconds. It's the 4th map in this best of 5. We still have 2 more semifinals to come up today, and of course the finals. It's a one-day event, and the finals will be a best of 7 to see who crowns themselves the champion here in Texas. So we're going to be moving over onto Skyscrapers, going into an interesting map here, how TDM is going to work on Team Deathmatch. And this is a very unique map in what we've seen and how people play TDM. Because usually, like, you don't want to be too close together. You don't want to group up too much. But we've seen so many times on Skyscraper, they like to actually push into some of these rooms, stick together as like a cohesive unit. But explosions, any explosive damage can really punish you for that one. So we've seen some adaptations over time. Some teams like to send a player off to the side, or maybe on the high ground it goes for sniping, which we might see happen yet again here between Stavey and Jiren. But I'm curious to see how the teams actually go about, how they're going to decide to play this one.
It's interesting as well because the way the map is designed, it's essentially slight elevations that continue up and then it goes back down, right? It's sort of like a little pyramid scheme kind of map. Well, it's not a pyramid scheme. I mean, yeah, you don't really buy into it and then get diminishing returns.
And then sell it to your friends.
Yeah. Well, are you interested in Skyscrapers? Because
I might actually.
I can set you up. They've got these really good berries.
But, I'm sorry, Lethal actually. He talked to me earlier on.
Has he already?
Yeah, he's already got me. I'm sorry.
He's taking my commission.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not acceptable.
It's
not acceptable.
It's fine, but yeah, like you're saying, like obviously, like there's a lot of height discrepancies.
Yeah.
There's a lot of high ground positions you can play from with a sniper too, which I think we might see the teams go for because it's an angle that you're not really expecting to see anyone, and then for you to adapt to that position, like they might not even be there anymore. You get that first elimination through, you have the point lead, you have positional control around the map, and it's really hard to take that back.
Yeah, it plays into an interesting sort of standpoint. You've got little rafters areas on either side where you can kind of use the sniper rifles. A lot of the main sort of sense of fighting we see happens at the sort of main front end bit by the little bushes that go along at the very front of the skyscraper. That tends to be where the majority of the action goes down. That's also where most commonly the nades are getting tracked across as well, because you'll see teams go in. They'll use those initial nades to try and cause some damage and lower the sustain of the people on the other side. And then they'll aggress. They'll send the one player through. If you've got a sniper up on the high ground, he'll just hold and basically provide overwatch for the entire thing and try and do some damage. Yeah,
and I mean, obviously, if you do that, that means you're light a man to fight like towards like the center of the map, right? So you have to decide. If we do go for that route, if we do have that one person sit back and sniper play an off angle, we have to realize we cannot force a 3v4 fight unless we get a lot of early damage in. And we're obviously going to see like a lot of, if I'm not mistaken, we're probably going to see a lot of incinerators being used, get a lot of like burning damage over time. Because there's like a couple of shots you can hit them back away, just slowly burn them down, whittle them down. I'm expecting to see like a lot of shotguns, 100%. Like that is definitely the strongest weapon you can use in situations like this. You got to be able to hit those up close and personal shots. And the thing is, like, missing one shot is so important when it comes to TDM, because you can imagine, like, if you hit that shot, you would have eliminated that person. But if you because you missed it, he eliminated your teammate. They had a man advantage. He was able to get an extra shot off against you, which eventually caused your demise. And it's just this big, really big snowball that works out against you. So it's really important to be super accurate here. But at the same time, I think everyone's generally the same when it comes to aim. It's just more about strategy and how you're going to play. Yeah,
for the most part, it seems like a good majority of the players we actually have at the top of the pros. Oh my God. I just don't know what that was. I tried to talk. My throat was just too dry, Jason.
Maybe just
I was the
really
shock
American
of realizing we're ready to go live. The American air just hit me.
Oh, here we go.
It took me down, but we're ready. We're into the action.
And look at that. Already off the bat, you can see Unbreakable immediately rushing straight through into that center room. They forced the entirety of Simplicity back, and, well, the entirety of Simplicity back to respawn, more importantly. But even with those eliminations, they only have a 16-point lead.
You rock.
Oh. Stavey kicks it off first. He takes down Beerus, and this is the way things are going to go. Kitty Monster, he's starting to prove himself. He's getting back into the swing of things and showing how good he can be. He does actually get a Blade Master off as well, Endurance. That cuts down the cream of the crop from the Unbreakable side instantly.
Some good damage being done. Even though Lord Beerus does pick up the elimination, they should be able to turn that back against him in a few seconds if they do catch out his position. You can see Nokia trying to basically hold on to the center room by himself. I'm actually surprised he's not been rushed down, but eventually 2 players are going to be coming in from the side, should be able to eliminate him. And Lord Beerus has fallen eventually. You see Stavey off to the side again, using these angles, these off angles to really punish you. Nice little Blade Master comes through yet again, at least with the damage. And Jiren, unfortunately, well, that's rough. That's rough living.
Yeah, it's not ideal. 28 to 100 here at this point. The assist coming through for Elmo. Position he's in. He's got the high ground. They're facing into him. He's shutting down these Padawans. It's over, Andy.
We know how the high ground works out. generally in your favor. Stavey again, he's been just hitting shot after shot here with the sniper rifles. He will fall, though, unfortunately, to Lord Beerus, but he does get the martyrdom elimination onto Lord Beerus with a nice nade coming through last second. Nokia again going for some good damage on his side, 183 to 143, and we're 2 minutes in. So this is a surprisingly low score, I want to say, for the amount of time that's been invested. I think both teams really realize, like, we got to play a little bit more passive here, a little bit more methodical, because Unbreakable, they don't want to throw a 2-0 lead in the series. And Simplicity, they don't want to lose. They need this map.
Yeah, it's all kind of changed the overall style of the way they're actually playing it. It's very slow. You can see them grouped up, essentially playing sort of 3-on-1 setups. Everyone just holding those choke points. You've got Stave in the elevated angle as well, trying to use the sniper to get the shots off. Now being a bit more aggressive, though. They're actually going to work with him. Jiren will overthrow format. And things could go a bit awkward from here. If Jiren actually goes for a flank, Jason, it could be an interesting play.
It could work out. And you see Lord Beerus trying to keep a couple players towards that south-hand side off, and he actually makes the call to his teammates, hey guys, there's 2 here, let's actually push them as a 3-man squad. They get the elimination onto Stavey. Jiren goes on a streak here, getting a nice little elimination onto Elmo, and look at that, they cleanly wiped them completely off the map. 299 to 170 points with 2 minutes left to go. Simplicity, their hand has been forced now. They have to get extra aggressive in these situations they don't necessarily want to. They cannot afford to let the time run out anymore.
This is rough. A double elimination for Simplicity off the back of Kitty Monster, finally starting to do some damage and bring those claws out. Small bit of a lull now as we hit the 2-minute mark, slowing down the overall fight as they will aggress towards those bushes at the front of the map, trying to play on the close angles. The choke points here can make it very awkward. But they might be going into the Lion's Den, Jace, if they don't realize there's 3 men waiting for them as they turn the corner. That's actually unfortunate for format. Tough luck wasted.
Yeah, but Nokia does get the 1v1, at least onto Kitty Monster. Save again, in the off angle, takes down Lord Beerus. So the lead that we did have from Unbreakable has been closed ever so slightly, but it's still hovering at 90 points at the moment. And they need 147 left to actually finish off this match. And 1:20 left to go. Like, the thing is, if you're Simplicity, you need to put your foot on the pedal. You need to not let it go, because you are running out of time. You are running out of opportunities. You cannot afford to play this slow at all.
Normally we saw that aggression coming through when you would hit around the 400 mark and it would just be an all-out affair. Instead, though, they're playing it so slowly, and Unbreakable are the ones to try and put the pedal to the metal. They get a bit aggressive and start ripping their way through them. 400 to 300 Simplicity. They might be too far behind here, Jason. They've only got 50 seconds at this point. They need to go in for fights, and they need to start winning them now.
If I was Unbreakable, I would literally just sit back and let them come to you. With how slow they're playing, they're going to have to force the fights into you. As long as you get damage done, you will eventually return those eliminations back on your side. You see Nokia pushing through. Kitty Monster gets a nice elimination himself. 430 to 370, 30 seconds left to go. If we're not going to finish off points, we're certainly going to be finishing off time. And we're certainly going to be finished with Unbreakable with the lead and the win.
Yeah, it seems like they are just going to get timed out here and lose off the back of that, and they're still not trying to charge in. They're being so isolated. They're just running around with a buggy system as well. Nokia gets himself a double to add insult to injury, really rubbing the salt in the wounds. They've got 15 seconds here. They're a few points behind Unbreakable. If they get another elim, that's it. It's over. It's done for. Even assist would help them out at this point. 5 seconds. They're not even going to get a chance. They're just running away. They're retreating to keep themselves alive. So there's not even a single fragment of Simplicity being able to take this one. You can see Nokia's reaction there, and they are going to be able to lock it down. Unbreakable also being unbeatable.
And you saw, Nokia the last second, like, they were all like saying, okay, like, all right, we know we won this. We know they have no time. He's in their heads. The calls have been made. The gauntlet has been thrown. And Unbreakable will be your victor, sir. Moving on to play against Impact in their semifinal a little bit later on today. But they've answered a lot of questions out there, Jackie, of how well they would do here on land, how well they would do with a substitute coming to the team. And Nokia's been flawless.
Yeah, they really did prove themselves, obviously, walking into it. The Unbreakable squad, we weren't too sure what to expect of them in the LAN environment, and they've donned it. They've kind of just rolled with the punches. For Simplicity, though, it's an unfortunate fact that this is where that storyline ends, right? They got thrown the wild card spot, essentially, been allowed to come in and see if they could assert some dominance, and it just was not.